Make your payments and make them on time. Hello there guys, and welcome to The Break. My name is Patricia and we're giving you the tools and resources to learn, grow, navigate life like a boss and make money moves in the process. I hope you are doing well. Today I wanted to get into it about a topic that I think is a little bit controversial in the world of money and just being smarter when it comes to being an adult in 2021, 2022. And it is your afterpay services. These are cropping up absolutely everywhere. So today I wanted to talk about Klarna, afterpay, PayPal Pay in Free, and the financial options that are out there and how to use these wisely and smartly, as well as deciding if they are a right choice for you. Now, before I get into it, if you haven't seen it already, we've launched our Mind and our Money Planners. I have a link in the description bar below. If you want to get your mind and money right for 2022, if you want to think about budgeting and planning and looking at your goals and some of the things that are important to you, make sure you pick up our planner, especially if you're not someone who needs to bullet journal, but likes a journal that is undated. This has everything you need right inside. So we're all online shopping. That's a fact. Doesn't need to be Christmas, could be any time of the year. And there is not a retailer now that doesn't have an afterpay service and a number of different options that allow you to buy now and pay later. But what does this truly entail and what is the impact it has on you and your money and your credit? So Klarna is an app, a specific app that you can actually shop with as well as use as a payment method on various different retail websites. You have the options to try before you buy, so you're not even paying anything before you actually receive the items nowadays. You can pay in full up to 30 days later, or you can split the cost into 3 interest-free monthly installments. And bearing in mind, I love the idea of interest-free, but remember that the period of interest-free doesn't last forever. And what I think is really interesting is that this is not actually a new phenomenon. If you remember our retail catalogs, our Littlewoods catalogs, our Next catalogs, our Argos catalogs, and all these catalogs, they used to always allow you to do a layaway plan or pay later or buy it on credit. And a lot of our parents used to use these services to actually pay for things. So we had catalog shopping before we had Klarna and afterpay services. I'm gonna give you my honest opinion on this. I think there was a time and a place for afterpay services and Klarna and PayPal Pay in Free, particularly for essential items, larger items that you may not have all the cash in for now, but you know you're going to have the cash in for later, things that you actually need, things that are an investment to you in the future. I'm not mad, okay? I think that the rich use credit all the time. They get credit in droves, and a lot of rich people actually use money they don't have on a regular basis. And I do think that people who do not have resources should have access to cheap forms of credit that won't put them in debt and break the bank or mean that they can't have something until they've saved up all their pennies because they don't have the resources right now. And I think that this concept of democratizing the access to finances is a really, really good thing. The disparity occurs for me is when people don't actually know how to use those resources wisely and be aware of the risk and the implications at a later date. So the pros are, if you don't have the money right now to buy something, an essential, a beauty item, some clothing from PLT, doesn't matter if it's £13 or £1,300. If you don't have the resource right now, you're able to split that cost, or you're able to pay that cost at a later date by using Klarna, ClearPay, and PayPal Pay in Free, or any afterpay services, because most of them are pretty similar. And I think that is a good thing if you are someone who's had an unexpected cost. You have changed job, or you're waiting for a check that you know is going to come in, but there's a thing that you need or want now. Having the ability to purchase a thing that you need at this current time before you have the resources is not a bad thing, and I think it's actually pretty good. The second thing is, realistically, you are getting an interest-free loan, which is really hard to come by. You haven't had to beg anyone to give you that money. You haven't had to go out and steal. You've actually been given this loan without incurring any cost to you. That is obviously if you stay within the payment terms of the contractual obligation of the payment services. Now, the cons. The cons for me are obviously outlined in lots of disclaimers on lots of the different Afterpay and the credit services. It is still credit, okay? And it will impact your credit score if you do not use these services effectively. You are not getting these items for free. You are not getting free money. And fundamentally, these companies make money on the idea that you may default or not pay or end up paying interest, and they make profit on the money that they loan you, which is actually no different to how traditional banks actually work. And I'll actually highlight that there is more regulation coming into place to protect consumers who are using some of these Afterpay services, because I think that another con is that people are not aware of the long-term impact of borrowing mentally, emotionally, and of course financially, money that you don't have and actually can't afford to pay back. It is a £1 billion industry. No matter how pink or Gen Z a logo is, this is still serious money-making business. And so if you are not careful, you can really end up in a bad place and having a lot of debt that could actually be impacting you negatively. Another con is it's very easy for a consumer to buy more than they can afford. You're like, click, click. Oh, I'll just pay a little bit of it now. Oh, I'll just pay a little bit of it later. Oh, what the check I was waiting for didn't come in. Oh, but I lost my job. Well, what you expected didn't happen, but you still have the cost to pay for. And that is a huge risk when it comes to using these services. You can of course assume that money is gonna come in, and you'll assume that you'll be able to pay that cost later, but what happens if you can't? And for those who can't afford to pay the cost off at a later date, which actually does have an impact on the amount they have available to them. So obviously if you spend, £30, right? Let's say it's £30. £30 is affordable, and actually you just have to pay £10 one month, £10 another month, and £10 in another month. So you hit £10 number one, great. You hit £10 number two, but you didn't hit £10 number three, and so you incur a fine, and then you incur interest. And that fine and that interest means that that balance of £10 may end up becoming £15, and you can't afford that £15. That then becomes £20, and then you can't afford that full £20, and then it becomes £30. So what you end up paying is actually double for the item that you had initially purchased, worth £30. And this is how debt and the cycle of credit can become a snowball effect if you are not careful. Debt does impact your credit score. So you want to use smart debt management tools when you are using Klarna, Afterpay, or buy now, pay later schemes. It's just the same as a credit card, and it will impact your credit rating. You want to look at your utilization. You want to look at how much money you're using on these services, and if you're maxing out what options you have to you. And if it's a constant thing and you're paying back just the minimum, or you're paying back late, these are all going to have an impact on your credit score. Interesting fact, UK shoppers actually use 4.1 billion in debt in buy now, pay later deals during the pandemic. And over 7.7 million people here in Britain have accumulated significant debt, averaging around £393. Now, according to Credit Karma, which is a great website to go to if you want to look at your credit scores and see your credit report, actually has found that when it comes to buy now, pay later schemes, that the average person has £538 that they have used on these schemes in outstanding balances, which to me is a pretty significant amount. And if you do use these schemes, let us know in the comments below and tell us how it's been. So here's some practical tips, because I don't believe any of these tools are going away. So I want you guys to be empowered to use credit and use it well. If you don't have to use credit, don't bloody do it, all right? But if you do, make your payments and make them on time. Auntie Factor, just pay your credit payments on time. Don't be late, because it's gonna just mount up in cost, okay? Please be careful. These APRs are not a joke. The impact it has on your credit rating is not a joke. So that then means when you are buying things, please buy these things with the knowledge that you'll be able to make those payments or afford them at a later date. It's not that deep to get the Chanel bag. It's not that deep to get the new Yeezys. It's really not that deep to get that shiny dress on PLT. please don't impact your credit rating for something as trivial as that, and that will be out of style in a minute. No. However, if you are going to use these services, please set reminders. And I remember when I got my first credit card, I just forgot. It's not like I didn't have the resources. I didn't set up a direct debit. I just forgot that I'd used it, and I forgot to make the payment. And then I remember receiving a letter, like either like you need to pay your credit balance or something like that. Or I remember seeing my credit rating being low, and I was like, what the heck? Like, what's going on? And I realized it was this old card that I had used that was impacting my credit score because there was a late payment on them. Just set your reminders and make sure you pay off the balances. When it comes to these buy now, pay later schemes, remember these also, I said this 100 times, they impact your credit. But why credit is important? It impacts your ability to have access to finances in the long run. If you want to buy a house, even if you want to get a certain job, if you want to get a loan from the bank, if you want to get investment, they will look at things such as your credit. And if it's in the lurch because of a Pretty Little Thing dress, then... So guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to know anything else, we'll be putting more information like this on the Break Instagram page. The Break platform is coming really, really soon. We've been working on it, but more on that soon. But we will catch you all later. Thanks for watching.